warm-up lap for the Ducati TriOptions Challenge. I've got Neil Hodgson alongside me, the 2003 World Superbike Champion, who's lamenting the fact that on the eve of his 40th birthday he's feeling old. Well, lucky for some. Oh, talking of which, happy 50th birthday to Andy Muscat from Cheadle, who's here with Halswell Racing. And also, can we just mention the nutters from Kimberley, Rachel and Catherine, who also are enjoying the action here today. I think we've got all the birthday greetings out of the way as we check out the championship positions after yesterday's race, won by Marty Nutt. He opened up a 21-point advantage over Jonathan Railton, the early pace setter in the Ducati TriOptions Challenge. Leon Morris, former champion, in third place. Dennis Hobbs on pole position led the race and had his gear lever snap, is fourth. Spike Edwards fifth, 5 points ahead of Darren Fry, and then it's Fowler, Brown, Field and Smith rounding out the top 10, ahead of Byron Beckett and Sean Neary. Jack Keane in 13th place ahead of Simon, Brown, Holden, Wilson, Cheetham, Poyser and Dawson. The starting grid is based on yesterday's race fastest laps. Dennis Hobbs, despite the fact that he only survived a short time in the race, set fastest lap ahead of Jonathan Railton and Spike Edwards. The second row headed by the championship leader and yesterday's race winner Marty Nutt, and from Leon Morris and Darren Fry. Row 3 is Sean Neary, Dean Brown and Dan Fowler. And row 4, Ed Smith, Jack Keane and Ricky Holden. So the Ducati TriOptions 848 Challenge, disappointment yesterday for Dennis Hobbs and for Ben Field, who both suffered from snap gear levers, Neil.
I know, I've never heard that one before. It's quite rare. It's a strange thing to have. You know, it was actually the brake lever snapped in half, which is, yeah, it's just a manufacturing issue, I guess, or I don't know, maybe it's been banged when it's been loaded up. Just one of those bizarre things in racing. And by the way, please, will you stop referring to my age? You know what I mean?
Sorry, Neil.
Saying I'm nearly 40. Listen, I've got 2 months left in my 30s, yes, and I'm hanging on to them. All right,
you do that, mate. Hang on to those 30s. Dennis Hobbs, he's got a new sponsor, Kiefer, on his black Car Masters of Glasgow machine, number 25, pole position. He makes a brilliant start, sized off the line. So big Dennis Hobbs, born in Middlesbrough, now resident up in Scotland, curls round Redgate into the lead. Let's hope that he's properly sellotaped his gear lever and has got as much gaffer tape as he can on it to hold it into one piece as they dive down through Hollywood and Craner curves. And already he's lost the lead, though. Oh no, he hasn't. Oh, he got down. Oh, Dennis, he decided to try and make it back into the lead, and Dennis Hobbs, the father of two, disgruntled with that. Well, that was a silly thing to do. He'd lost the lead, and Dennis impatiently just tried to cut right back underneath through Craner curves.
I've got to say that was a bit of a schoolboy mistake for such an experienced rider. He went wide at the top of Hollywood, and basically at that point, it's the first lap as you get to Craner curves, that the left-hand side of your tyres not up to race temperature, and what he did, he came in on a tight line and he was very aggressive, and you cannot do that at Craner curves on lap 1, and it just showed. And I've got to say, actually, he was very lucky. He slid well, and also the bike tumbled. Normally, you see the bikes, it's normally a yard sale after that, you know what I mean? You're picking up the forks and the swinging arm from, you know, literally, they can be spread out over like a 100-metre area.
So that means that number 2, Leon Morris, who was a clear championship winner in 2011, ahead of Spike Edwards and Robbie Brown, has been gifted the early advantage. Well, actually, he'd snatched the early advantage, but it was Dennis trying to grab it back that caused that mistake. And in the midst of all that, number 77, Marty Nutt, has quietly and sensibly picked his way through to second place, right where he needs to be to pick up some more hearty points. Morris, Nutt, Edwards at the front, Railton, Fry, Benfield, Sean Neary, Brown and Fowler. And it's no good looking at the back. Well, I suppose checking for the damage, Dennis, but your new sponsor's not going to want to pay for that too handily. Here they are. Oh, well, we thought we were going to see them coming down the hill, but that's a very empty Craner curves. Leon Morris is leading the way from Marty Nutt and Spike Edwards. Jonathan Railton in 4th place ahead of Darren Fry and Ben Field. And that was...
I think you can appreciate there how far he's slid there. That is a long, long way. And like I said, he's so lucky. Normally the bike hits the grass and they usually somersault and tumble and, like I say, destroy themselves. But thankfully that time it didn't. I've got to say, last night I was in the Ducati Hospitality and I interviewed Leon Morris, who'd finished 3rd in the race. And he smiled at me and he said, I've learned something, I've found something on this bike, and I'm going to have a different race tomorrow, you'll see. And look at that, this is pretty much one of the first times we've seen, well, he has won one this year, but we've seen him sort of struggle at the early part of the year, and he's just found his way back on this bike, and I've got to say, true to his word, he's leading.
It certainly is. The Stockbridge Racing Ducati, ridden by Stockbridge's very own Leon Morris, is at the front. Number 77, Marty Nutt from Castle Rock on the Ducati Coventry JHP NutTravel.com bike is running in second place, and that looked suspiciously like a Rapido Sport Racing Ducati that was trying to cut its way through there and make up some ground. But at the moment we've got Morris, Nutt, Edwards. There's a fair bit of changing going on and a fair bit of falling as well. Another rider spews off at Goddard's, which has caught a fair few people out, and that's Sean Neary from Lim on the Active Adventures Ducati. That was a trifle over adventurous, I think, Sean. So he slid out then at Goddard's. As simple as that.
And it's so easy, Jack. The TV, you can't quite appreciate. Look, it looks, you watch the crash and it looks like he's just fallen off the side of it. Almost looks pathetic. But the problem is, what you can't see on the television is it's off camber, it's incredibly bumpy, and you're still carrying the brake at that point. You're still trail braking in towards the apex, and basically all the weight's on the front, you hit the bump and down you go.
So that has been a bit of a story of the day, really, as we check out the man who's moved through to third place is Jonathan Railton. Jonathan Railton, of course, on the Bost Racing Ducati. It was very much the early pace setter in this championship. He's still not out of it by any means. The project engineer for a telecoms company, who is now 22 years old. Jonathan Railton, number 40, running in third place. There's the man who's ahead of him in the championship. Just ahead of him on the track, Marty Nutt. And Jonathan Railton set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, 1:35.753. There he is.
And he's on a good lap now. He's gone through the first split, the fastest he's gone through. He's gone through the second split, actually the fastest out of everybody, and this is going to be an impressive lap. Regarding Jonathan Railton, if he wants to win this championship, he has to pretty much win this race. Over the last sort of 3 rounds, he's completely lost his way, to be honest. I don't know if it's confidence issues, I don't know if it's the fact that he does swap backward and forward onto a super soft bike, which is not really helpful, to be honest. But this is as good as I've seen him in probably the last 3 or 4 rounds, and normally at this point he's down in 6th place. He normally gets faster later on in the race.
You're right, actually, because he crashed at the first race at Brands Hatch, Saturday's race at Brands Hatch. So DNF there, and then after having taken 5 wins out of the first 6 races, he's then gone 3rd, 5th, 4th, 4th, which is consistent, but not where he was in the early stages of the season.
Well, no, we were saying after round, I think it was about round 3, we were saying, oh no, it's going to be a bit boring. Jonathan Railton is going to win every one of these.
He's going to bury this championship.
And but isn't that the beauty of this sport? And that's one of the reasons I love motorcycle racing. You can never predict what's going to happen. If someone loses a bit of confidence or someone improves their setup a little bit, you know, it makes racing so exciting.
Marty not there trying to save a very experienced rider, of course, spent many years in British Super Sport, and he's hounding Leon Morris now, but is he late enough on the brakes? He makes a late effort, but is he not late enough? No, he's got it. Drives through the Fogarty S's. Marty Nutt gets it, and Jonathan Railton tries to take advantage as well, and suddenly the Stockbridge Racing bike, the white machine of number 2, Leon Morris, is coming under threat, and he's gone from 1st to 3rd in a matter of 2 bends. Jonathan Railton just eases him wide down the drop into the Melbourne Loop. He's going to come back at him though. Look at this aggression, or what? Up the inside, confidently into Goddard's, and he nicks it back.
And like I say, I know with racers, you can just see that sparkle in their eye. And last night, Leon Morris had that look in his eyes. It convinced me. I believed him. Do you know, I've had it in the past when they'll come to you and they'll tell you what they're going to do, and you can tell, you look in their eyes and you think, nah, you're not. And usually you're right. Leon Morris told me he was going to be a lot better today, and like I say, I believed him, and he's doing the business.
I'm impressed with Darren Fry running in 5th place, just behind Spike Edwards, because this is shaping up to be Darren's best race of the series. There he is, riding bike number 3.
Yeah, it's not only his position, he's with them, and the lap times are fast. You know, it's not like he's not a distant 5th. He's on the back of them, and yeah, it's good to see him up there.
That's Darren Fry from Rugby on the JHP Ducati Coventry. Ducati Coventry is such a great dealership, always backing people in this championship series. And Darren Fry running his last lap was at 1:35.95, so he really is running quite strongly on the pace, just a whisker off the pace of these front men. Jonathan Railton, having made that pass on the white machine of number 2, Leon Morris, has got it all to do again. And the problem for him now, Neil Hodgson, is that Marty Nutt is creeping away at the front, and the last thing that Railton needs is for Marty Nutt to win this one.
No, you're right, and this is what Marty Nutt, we've seen him do. This is where he wants to lead, he's comfortable leading, he hits all his apexes. You know, he's just a confident, smooth rider, and yeah, we've seen him do this, and it's perfect for Marty, and it's horrendous for everybody else in the race.
So Leon Morris, number 2, runs second. Number 40, Jonathan Railton behind him. Spike Edwards, let's not remember the amazing 51-year-old Liverpudlian, resident in the far posher spa town of Harrogate these days. As we watch Jonathan Railton creep underneath number 2, Leon Morris, and he has got back into that second place as another fastest lap, 1:35.205 for Marty Nutt. Now, what can Railton do? New lap record, Marty Nutt 1:35.2. If Railton's got a bit of clear track ahead of him, can he make it count? Can he close the gap? Half distance, 5 laps complete. He has got the time to do it.
And it is points like this in a race that can determine a championship. Jonathan Railton, when you're racing, you are talking to yourself. You're aware of what you have to do, and this is the time now you think, right, I'm in front. I have to chase down Marty Nutt. I have to beat him. You've two choices. You're either going to ride round, finish second, and go, yeah, oh, great, oh, this, that, and the other. Excuses, oh, it's like, now it's down to me to make the difference. And he can do it. He's a talented rider, and he's doing it. He's actually doing what I'm saying.
Are you talking out loud to yourself like a little child reading a book?
I did, but don't tell anyone. We'll keep that between me and you. No one's listening, I don't think.
Look at Spike Edwards, the old rogue. He's getting the better here of Leon Morris. Spike Edwards, who was runner-up to Leon Morris in that 2011 series, as well, muscled his way through into third place. Jonathan Railton closing the gap on the leader. Now, a lap record on the last lap for Marty Nutt, and Jonathan Railton is somehow closing the gap on the Irishman, but he's only have 4 more laps to do it after this one. Look how strong he is on the brakes into Goddard's.
Very strong on the brakes. And there's only two rounds to go after this. These boys, they all do go to Assen, and then it's then Silverstone. So that's the last round for them. So it's a relatively shorter championship. They don't go to Brands Hatch at the end.
And that was a sub at 1:35, 1:34.95, new lap record for Jonathan Railton. Will it be enough? He's got 0.8 of a second to catch up with Marty Nutt and then perhaps find a way round the wily old Ulsterman. Sorry, Marty, perhaps I'm thinking of your dad, Billy, there, the wily young Ulsterman. So Marty Nutt leads the way. Railton, Edwards, Morris, Darren Fry, Ben Field in the tiny Ben Field in 6th place, ahead of Fowler, Brown, Smith and West down in 10th.
And it just with Leon Morris, it's just thrown his rhythm. With Mike Edwards coming past, they've just lost the rhythm and they've lost the toe to Jonathan Railton and Marty Nutt, and it's definitely looking like it's going to be a 2-horse race.
So that was, there is some real record-busting pace being set here. Jonathan Railton, is he edging in a bit more on Marty Nutt? He's so strong on the brakes, it almost falsifies the situation. He drags so much time back on the brakes.
And you know, there's nothing between these bikes. It's the one-make series. They're all standard 848s, but there's just something about getting a bike from Ducati, JHP, Ducati Coventry. You know, if John Hackett's touched your bike, it's going to be better. You know it's going to be reliable. I mean, I've worked with John. He helped me early on in my career and helped me a lot, I've got to say. And he's such a great bloke. And just that experience. And when you go to his workshops, it's huge. It's like all underground, and it's so impressive. And yeah, just a great guy to be involved with.
Another lap record, 1:34.753 as Railton edges in on the race leader, and Leon Morris recovers that rhythm and starts to put a little pressure on Spike Edwards.
And just what we want to see at this point, exactly what I said. Jonathan Railton, it's 2 choices. He's going to finish second in the championship, or he's going to win it. And this is the sort of ride that wins you championships. Don't get me wrong, he's still got to catch him. He's closing that gap down, and then he's got to pass him.
2/3 race distance complete as we look at the battle between Spike Edwards, the hoary veteran, still hanging on just, but not for long. Look at that move through Starkey's and Schwant's curve there by number 2, Leon Morris. He's punched his way back into 3rd place and a possible rostrum. And behind them, Darren Fry continues to just hold that pace. But the battle really beginning to warm up at the front. John Hackett, of course, father-in-law of Tom Sykes, look forward to becoming a granddad on November the 21st, when his daughter Amy is due to have the first of the Sykes children. Number 40, Jonathan Railton. His head down, he can see Marty Nutt coming back to him. He's now got to exercise his mind. He'll be chatting to himself, perhaps Neil Hodgson style, and thinking, right, where can I get the better of him? Where's going to be the best place to pass him, or at least to launch a challenge? He's on the 8th of 10 laps, so he's got 2 laps to think about it right now and to do it.
And I'll tell you, Jonathan Railton is so strong into this corner, Goddard's the last corner, and of all the corners to be good into, that's the important one, because that is usually where the decisive overtaking manoeuvres take place.
Jonathan Railton, who's he's had a kind of an oddly extravagant career. He's done a bit of racing in the Spanish CEV Formula Extreme Championship, and he's also obviously running the KTM RC8 Cup. Been in the National Super Stock Championship, which he's been contesting this year, as well as running this championship. But on the most plumbing art of racing Ducati, he's got to find a way past Marty Nutt. And Nutt, well, you just know how experienced Marty Nutt is, and how...
I've just
been handed a piece of paper by Neil Hodgson that says Ducati podium presenter Neil Hodgson. I think I'd recognise him.
Yeah, just in case you didn't recognise it.
Oh man, well held. Wow, that was number 60. Who's number 62?
That was more luck than judgment, because when it comes out that far, let me tell you.
Oh, that was west. That's almost going west.
You're in the lap of the gods when it comes out that far.
Now, once again, strong on the brakes, Jonathan Railton. Is he going to launch an assault on that? Well, look how fast, scalded cat out of Fogarty S's there. Marty Nutt means that he's able to defend the inside line. Oh, he's gone round him! Right round the outside. That must have surprised Marty Nutt. He defended that inside line, and Jonathan just decided, I reckon that wasn't necessarily predetermined, that was just taking advantage of a possibility.
The last time I saw someone do that, that was Kevin Schwantz on Wayne Rainier a long time ago, about 1992. This is not easy. Normally it's like, you don't try that because it's a long way around, but that's called commitment.
Well, Jonathan Railton, he's made that one stick, and a man who's, let's face it, hasn't won a race since he won the second race at Snetterton, and that's way back on the 7th of July. Suddenly looks as if he could win this one and claw back 5 precious points on Marty Nutt with 2 rounds. Is that 2 rounds and 4 races to go?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Oh, right. That's the beauty of it. Then there's still 100 points up for grabs.
Still 100 points up for grabs, and I'll tell you what, these boys are pushing. Look at the rear end on that leading bike. Watch, you can see how it's sliding on every corner. That means he is on the absolute limit.
Jonathan Railton leads the way now from long-time race leader and championship leader Marty Nutt. At the moment, the difference between them in the championship, it's only 21 points. If Jonathan slams another 5 points after that, it's down to 16. There are still 4 races left for these guys to contest. So Marty suddenly will realise he's got his hands full because Railton is back on form. I didn't see in all the hectic excitement at the front, did Jonathan actually ride the Superstock 1000 championship race, or has he decided to save himself for this? I'm not sure when he was out in the Superstock.
I'm not too
1000.
sure. I should have spotted that. Sorry, I didn't see
On the
that.
final lap then, Jonathan Railton is finally going to take what will be his 6th race victory of the year. He run 5 out of the first 6, and he's finally going to put himself back on top of the box and get himself right back into championship contention. Ducati 848 TriOptions Challenge, the winner here at Donington Park, Jonathan Railton. 2nd, Marty Nutt. 3rd for Leon Morris. 4th place for Darren Fry. Where's Spike gone?
There, Spike's had an issue.
Spike has had an issue. He crosses the line looking down at his bike in 5th place, just ahead of Ben Field. So an issue there for poor Spike Edwards, and he trundles across the line in 5th place. But for Jonathan Railton, a race winner and a new lap record of, I beg your pardon, the lap record went to Marty Nutt, 1:34.674. And Spike Edwards, the bike has stopped on him as he's got to the end of the start straight. So Spike Edwards then, legendary coach and long-time motorcycle racer, pushes the number 121 bike out of the way. That's the Olins and P&H Motorcycles Ducati, and gets it out on track. But he finished in 5th place. His last lap was 1:40.039, so it was obviously...
Yeah, he obviously had an issue. And if you want to know how badly these boys want it, Jonathan Railton on his last lap was pretty much, that was his fastest lap. And Marty Nutt got the lap record on the last lap. That's how hard these boys were pushing. Very, very impressive. And the lap times, if you want to know on the actual time difference, so a 1:34.6 is about 4 seconds off what the superbikes are doing around here. It's about 1.5 seconds off what the super stock bikes are doing around here. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, would you run with these guys if you jumped on one of these
Everyone
now,
keeps
in your late 30s?
Late 30s. Everyone keeps asking me this question, and I'm so happily retired, as you know, and I genuinely am. I loved racing, don't get me wrong, but it's so hard, and I'm such a stress head when I raced that I couldn't do it for fun, so I couldn't come back and do a one-off race for pleasure. It would not be pleasure. It would only be pleasure if I won, which I wouldn't. So.
Thank you for that very comprehensive and honest reply, as I expected. Look at that beautiful view of Donington Hall, obscured now by the race 2 result of the Ducati TriOptions Challenge at Donington Park. A vital win for Jonathan Railton, beautifully judged, excellently executed. Marty Nutt second, Leon Morris in third place. Darren Fry fourth ahead of Spike Edwards fifth, Ben Field sixth ahead of Brown, Fowler, West and Smith. I've just had a piece of paper reinserted under my nose from Neil Hodgson saying Ducati podium presenter Neil Hodgson. Jack Keane 11th ahead of Brown, Holden, Dawson and Ben Broadway, and the non-point scorers Wilson, Poyser, Richardson, Neary and oh dear me, desperate Dennis Hobbs. The championship standings then look very, very interesting. Marty Nutt has a 16-point advantage over Jonathan Railton. Leon Morris in third place. Dennis Hobbs remains on 137. He's in fourth ahead of Spike Edwards fifth. Darren Fry sixth. Darren Fowler is in seventh place ahead of Brown, Field and Ed Smith, with Byron Beckett 11th, Sean Neary, who crashed in that race, is 12th ahead of Jack Keane, with Simon, Brown, Holden, West, Brown, Poyser and Dawson. What a splendid solicitors firm running out the top 20. And the start of the race, well, Dennis Hobbs did it all right initially, but then up and underneath him came the white machine of number 2, Leon Morris. After they'd gone round Redgate, Dennis thought he'd grabbed the whole shot. Leon Morris unsettled him as Dennis ran wide and onto the stripes coming out of Redgate. Dennis tried to respond straight away on what was still a fairly cool tyre. He went really tight into Craner, lost it, fortunately without wiping out Leon Morris. That was a very close call. And the big North Yorkshire Teesside lad from Gisborough originally in the fine county of Cleveland went down and out. So too did number 10, Sean Neary from Lim on the Active Adventures Ducati. And once you're down in this sport, of course, you can't no longer pick it up and participate again. Here's number 77, Marty Nutt, perfectly judged overtake. Leon Morris nudged back to second place and almost immediately to third by the Boast Plumbing Art of Racing bike of number 40, Jonathan Railton. Then he comes under fire from number 121, Spike Edwards. Spike launches through into third place, and then the battle hots up with Leon Morris retaking that third place. Spike not able to respond as they go through the old hairpin. And then look at this move, the penultimate lap of Jonathan Railton with Marty Nutt defending his inside line, swoops around the outside, schwants on Rainey style and plugs himself back to the front. So Jonathan Railton takes an absolutely vital victory in the championship and knocks the advantage right back to 16 points in the table. Well done, Jonathan.
Leon Morris is up here. He was just explaining to me just how lucky he was when Dennis Hobbs had that massive wipeout at the start. But Leon, you were saying it feels like a long time ago now a race has gone by. He had some good pace there, just wasn't quite fast enough, but still a great ride and great to get on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 2 podiums this weekend and it's not to be sniffed at, but if I'm honest, I'm disappointed. You know, fair play to those guys. I couldn't live with their pace today. I felt really confident and I felt good, but to be honest, I may well have even been holding them up to start with, and when they come by, they just broke a gap and I couldn't match their pace. So, and yeah, as for Dennis, you know, Dennis put a hard move on me yesterday going into there, and we were very close again, but yeah, that was a bit of a lump in their throat moment for me. I very nearly collected him, but it does seem like ages ago now. I hope he's all right.
Probably a lump in the back of the leathers as well, if we're being honest about it. But looking forward now onto the next round, what do you take from this into that?
Looking forward to Aston. We've been there a couple of times. We've probably got a little bit more of a heads up than maybe some of the other guys because I've ridden in the series before. But from here, really, there's nothing. We just need to go a couple better. You know, really, to keep any form of championship hope alive, which has dwindled. We needed to be winning races, and them 2 guys not finishing, you know, on the podium either. So it's going to be very difficult. But we'll just press for race wins and podiums from now on till the rest of the year. You know. But like I say, 2/3, it ain't the end of the world, but I'm not over the moon.
No, we can't be negative about 2 podiums in any weekend, of course. We'll let you go to the podium. Well done.
Just a quick thanks to Premier Coatings and Converters, Pro Waste Solutions, and all my personal sponsors from back home. And also, just quick, I know it's not a win, but that one's for my wife. I got married last week, and I didn't want her marrying a loser, but I'm still on the box, so that one's for her. She supports me no end, so...
Love it. Great emotion. We'll let you go to the podium. Very well done. Let's get our second place finisher up here then, Marty Nutt. 16 points now over Jonathan Railton. So that was a good day at the office for you.
Yeah, one of those could have been better, like my school reports always could have been better, but no, I'll take that. It could have quite as easily been up the road, you know, and no points. So we're still keeping our podiums going. The shelf in the motorhome is filling up nicely with the caps. So that's my main aim. We'll just keep working like that and see how it goes. Momentum is the aim of the game from now on. Yeah, that's it. You know, with every race so far, touch wood, we've had a podium. And hopefully things just keep going our way and we can keep chalking up those podiums and maybe stretch another few points out in Jonathan at the next round. It was a great pace right at the end. You were half a second off the lap record at the very last lap of that. Very impressive on these sorts of motorcycles. We'll let you go to the podium. We are getting in a hurry up, but very well done, Marty. Lovely, thank you. There you go, Marty. That's second place finisher now. Let's get Jonathan Railton up here, our race winner. You were hanging it all out there, Jonathan. It was all over the place. It was great entertainment from us. Must have been entertaining from your point of view.
Yeah, it's a fantastic race. Really enjoyed it. When I saw Leon go out the gate a bit hot, I thought, I don't know if we're going to stay with him here. He started making a few mistakes, and then Marty got him. And then I just try really hard to catch Marty. We've had a dry run of podiums recently. A bit of lack of confidence, but I got that back. And that win obviously helped that.
Yeah, sixth race win of the year. You had that glut at the start, the 5, now the 6th. Does this mean that you're back?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think we're over the confidence issues. Obviously that race really helped boost that. And the lap times we've been able to post in that race, I was really happy with them.
Great confidence back, lap results back as well, lap speeds back as well. So great result for you. Well done. Yeah, thanks. I'm really looking forward to Aston now. I haven't been there before. I'm really looking forward to it. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Boats Plumbing, Carino, Access Flooring, and everyone, all of my personal sponsors, my family, and my girlfriend Holly. Can't forget Holly. We'll let you go. Very well done. Off he goes to the podium. And whilst he's going up to the podium, Jack will take us through everything he needs to.
Great result then from the tall Jonathan Railton. 22 years old now, who was the ACU Star Formula 125 champion when he was a much smaller guy back in 2006. And was also, when he was a lad, he was a multiple junior kart champion. And of course, you've got to be pretty small to fit into a go-kart. So Jonathan Railton, who's certainly grown up a bit since then, took a splendid victory here. He really judged that perfectly and pulled a really fine move around the outside. But a completely imperturbable Marty Nutt. Really cool, the man from Castle Rock. He's obviously thinks that if he just keeps getting the results and building up the points, that it's going to be difficult for this man, Jonathan Railton, to get the better of him. While we're here with a moment, by the way, can we just say goodbye to our former vision engineer, Kev Tuck. He'd been working on British Superbike since 1999, passed away recently. His funeral was last Wednesday, so our commiserations to his wife, Tracy, and their 2 kids, and R.I.P. Kev. Did a great job. Jonathan Railton did a pretty good job as well, as we check them out on the podium here. Look at that little mini nut on the left-hand side. Neil Hodgson, of course, has left me in the booth here and gone up there to award the trophies to. First, congratulations to the newly wedded man on the right-hand side, Leon Morris. Congratulations to the new father on the left-hand side, Marty Nutt, and congratulations to the race winner. Finally gets back on top of the box at a crucial point in the season. As he said, confidence had taken a bit of a battering recently. The results hadn't been up to scratch, but now Jonathan Railton is right back in with a chance of the championship. Next stop, Aston, in 2 weeks' time. He hasn't been there before, but as you might expect, he's certainly looking forward to it.
So the Ducati TriOptions 848 Challenge providing us with plenty of action. And Dennis Hobbs kicking things off in the most dramatic way, but taking nothing away from Jonathan Railton there on bike number 40. Well, Marty Nutt just chasing them down in the black leathers. They provided us with all the action we could expect from that one-make series. That's where we leave them for now. We're taking a short break. When we come back, though, it will be time to get underway with the Motorpoint British Supersport Championship race.